Evil robots have taken over the world, and we didn't even notice. I posted a video yesterday talking about the influence of algorithms on the way that we see the world and what we see about the world. And I was pretty critical of the role of algorithms as well as the role of advertising in our modern consciousness. And suspiciously, after a couple of hours of being up, my channel's traffic dropped to zero. And I'm a small channel, so there are periods when nobody watches anything, and I've got a fairly niche interest and a kind of boring style, so I can understand that people don't necessarily, this isn't the most necessarily popular content in the world. But for the last week or more, there's been very few hours wherein someone hasn't watched at least one of my videos. The QAnon content's pretty popular. There's been a couple of other videos that I've posted elsewhere that people watch every few hours. The view rates just keep going up a little bit. But between midnight last night and almost noon today, zero. Not a single view on any of my videos. So I'm thinking, why is this? Looked at the impressions, they ground to a halt. Looked at traffic on Facebook, and I got very few views on that as well. It wasn't even being indexed on the algorithm to people's social media feeds. And likely this video talking about that thing is also likely not going to show up in a lot of places. I really shouldn't say that they're evil robots, because they're actually uncaring robots. These aren't out to get me. They're not being nefarious or malicious towards me. They are looking to serve their own interests. All these algorithms are being driven by the goal of creating as much money as possible. And since advertising, i.e. attention, is the means by which to gain that money, then anything that gains popularity is going to be valuable. So anything that does not provide value to that advertising attention economy, well, that's not going to be very popular at all, because the algorithm doesn't really want you to think about those sorts of things. So it's not going to promote content that contains that sort of thing. This ties in with basically all of my previous videos as well. My paperclip maximizer video, which you can see right there, involves the behavior of algorithms and of economy as a utility monster. The basic idea of a utility monster is an algorithm or a system whose internal logic cares very narrowly about a specific goal, and in this case it's the production of money. And in the example that I give in that utility maximizer video is the paperclip maximizer, where you provide this intelligent machine with a directive just to make as many paperclips as possible, as fast as possible, without any other parameters. And without those other parameters, it doesn't realize that human life is actually valuable, and so it ends up just killing all of humanity in order to turn us into paperclips. It's not an evil machine. It's not maliciously out to get us. Hello, Slander. It's not out to get us. It's not actually trying to kill us. All it's trying to do is make paperclips, or in the case of capitalism and these algorithms, make money. It doesn't really care what happens to anybody else other than making money. Artificial intelligence represents an extreme danger to humanity. Because yes, there could at some point literally be something like a paperclip maximizer, which physically disassembles us and physically kills us in order to gain its goal. But already we're in a situation where algorithms control much of the way that we live our lives. Most of the major retailers, Amazon, Walmart, those sorts of things, their supply chain is fully automated. It's devised by and guided by machines. There's very little human input involved in the stocking of any given Walmart location. The items that are selected to be stocked at a given Walmart is determined algorithmically by user data, by census data, by approximations based on past buying behaviors, and it's devised there simply to make as much money as possible, regardless of any other factors. So this doesn't take into account the environment. This doesn't take into account the actual health of the people that shop at Walmart. This doesn't take into account any other factor other than simply making as much money as possible by selling as much product as possible. Now, if it sounds like I'm just whining because I'm not as popular as I want to be, that's not really the case. I honestly don't really give a shit. I'm more concerned about the long-term and broad-scale impacts of these algorithms and the way that they make us think. if leftist content, if critical content of the algorithm of the advertising industry is being squelched by our de facto public sphere, the de facto way that we broadcast messages, then it's going to influence our culture, our society. If it's not possible to learn about these things, then it's not possible to think about these things, then it's not possible to resist these things. This is dangerous. I'm going to risk a George Orwell reference here. Everybody references George Orwell wrong and they misunderstand him. But in this case, we have a consequence of what might be considered doublethink. If people don't have the language, they don't have the logical linguistic syntax to be able to express an idea, then they don't have the ability to think that idea. And in this case, we're in that sort of situation. It's not precisely an issue of censorship. I'm not being censored by any means, but the linguistics and the thought syntax that I'm providing to be able to think critically about algorithms and algorithmic advertising is not being promoted. It's not available to people such that you can actually think about these things in a critical way. I'm just going to make this a quick video because I don't want to go on and on about it, because also the more I talk about it, the more my algorithmic value is going to drop. So I'd like to ask you a favor. Since obviously the algorithm does not like me, does not enjoy me talking about the things that I'm talking about, I'm going to need your help. If you enjoy my content, if you like what it is that I'm doing and you believe in the things that I'm talking about, I really need you to share this stuff because we need to continue this conversation, and I would like more people to get involved in this. At some point soon, I'm also going to make a video about how you yourself can start doing this kind of thing. All the technical details of how it is that I'm doing what I'm doing and that sort of thing, and possibly some resources to draw on. So please share this and please get involved yourself. We need to be thinking about these algorithms because they are such a strong influence on our lives that they cannot be ignored. So thanks for watching. As always, do all those algorithmic things, like the channel, subscribe, and share. And I'll see you tomorrow.